If you don't fit in anywhere, psychology says you might have these 5 uncommon traits. What if the reason you've never quite fit in isn't because you're awkward, broken, or socially behind? What if that quiet feeling, the one that follows you into rooms, conversations, friendships, even families, isn't a flaw at all? What if psychology would say that the people who don't fit in anywhere often carry traits that don't blend easily into a loud, fast, surface-level world? Stay with me, because what we're about to explore isn't comforting in a shallow way. It's clarifying. And once you understand this, the way you see yourself may finally begin to make sense. There is a specific kind of discomfort that comes from not fitting in. Not the dramatic kind, not rejection, not loneliness in the obvious sense. It's quieter than that. It's being in a group and feeling like you're slightly misaligned, like everyone else received instructions you somehow missed. You're present, but not fully in it. You laugh when others laugh, but something inside you stays detached. You contribute when expected, but rarely feel understood. And over time, this creates a question that keeps returning. Why does fitting in seem so natural for everyone else, and so unnatural for me? Psychology doesn't see this as random, and it definitely doesn't see it as weakness. In fact, people who don't fit in often share a set of uncommon psychological traits. Traits that don't disappear just because society prefers something else. Let's go through them, not as labels, but as patterns. Trait 1. You process the world more deeply than average. Most people interact with life at the surface level. They react quickly. They speak before reflecting. They adapt to the energy of the room without questioning it. But some minds don't work that way. Psychology refers to this as deep cognitive processing. It means your brain doesn't skim experiences, it absorbs them. You don't just hear words, you notice tone. You don't just see behavior, you sense intention. You don't just experience moments, you analyze meaning. Because of this, fast social environments can feel uncomfortable. Not because you lack skill, but because your mind needs coherence. When conversations jump rapidly from topic to topic, you feel disconnected. When people speak without thinking, it feels unsettling. When emotions are exaggerated or performative, your system resists it. So you hesitate, you observe, you slow down. And in a world that equates speed with confidence, slowing down gets misinterpreted. You're seen as quiet, distant, hard to read. But the truth is simpler. Your mind is doing more work than most people's. And deep processors rarely fit neatly into environments built for surface interaction. Trait 2. You have a high sensitivity to emotional inauthenticity. Some people can spend hours around fake energy and feel nothing. Others feel drained within minutes. If you don't fit in, there's a strong chance you belong to the second group. Psychology calls this emotional attunement. Your nervous system picks up inconsistencies faster than average. You sense when someone's smile doesn't match their intention. You notice when kindness is strategic instead of genuine. You feel tension beneath polite conversation. And because of this, many social spaces feel uncomfortable, even hostile, without anything obvious being wrong. You're not paranoid, you're not judgmental. Your brain simply registers emotional signals that others ignore. So when people gossip, perform, manipulate, or posture, your system goes into quiet withdrawal, not out of superiority, but self-protection. Over time, this creates distance. You stop trying to blend in. You stop forcing chemistry. You stop participating in environments that feel energetically dishonest. And to the outside world, it looks like you don't fit. But psychologically, you're responding exactly as a sensitive, self-aware system would. Trait 3. You developed independence. Early people who fit in easily often rely on group validation to regulate their sense of self. Belonging stabilizes them. But if you don't fit in, there's a strong chance you learn to stabilize yourself internally. Early. Maybe you grew up misunderstood. Maybe you felt emotionally alone even when people were around. Maybe you learned that relying too much on others led to disappointment. Psychology refers to this as early self-reliance. It doesn't mean you don't want connection. It means you don't need it to function. You learned how to think alone, entertain yourself, Solve problems independently. Sit with your own thoughts without distraction. This creates strength, but also separation. When others bond through constant interaction, you don't feel the same pull. When people seek reassurance, you self-reflect instead. When groups form identity through sameness, you already have one. So fitting in feels optional and often unnecessary. And in societies where belonging is treated like oxygen, independence can look like detachment. But psychologically, it's simply a different regulatory system. Trait 4. You require meaning, not just connection. Most social bonds are built on proximity and habit. Same school, same workplace, same routine. But people who don't fit in often require something else. Meaning. You don't connect just to connect. You connect when there's depth, shared values, intellectual or emotional resonance. Small talk drains you. Repetitive conversations bore you. Relationships without growth feel empty. Psychology links this to value-based bonding. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding shallow attachment. And because meaningful connection is rare, your social world stays small. You'd rather have one conversation that feels real than 10 that feel hollow. You'd rather be alone than emotionally understimulated. This doesn't make you antisocial, it makes you selective. But selectivity in a mass social culture often looks like not fitting in. Trait 5. You are highly self-aware in a world that isn't. This is the trait that ties everything together. People who don't fit in often spend a lot of time observing themselves. You reflect on your reactions, you analyze your emotions, you question your patterns. Psychology calls this high introspective awareness. You don't just feel, you examine why you feel. You don't just react, you evaluate your response. And this creates friction, because many environments reward certainty, not reflection, confidence, not nuance, assertiveness, not awareness. So when you pause instead of reacting, when you question instead of asserting, when you listen instead of dominating, you stand out, not because you're behind, but because you're operating on a different psychological layer. And people don't always know what to do with that. Why this often turns into self-doubt. Here's the dangerous part. When you don't fit in long enough, you start internalizing explanations that aren't true. You tell yourself, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe I overthink, maybe I'm socially weak, maybe something is wrong with me. Psychology calls this misattributed difference. Instead of recognizing that your traits don't match the environment, you assume you are the problem. And slowly your self-image shrinks. You become cautious, you speak less, you hold back. Not because you lack confidence, but because you don't feel safe being fully seen. The reframe that changes everything. Here's the truth psychology supports. People who don't fit in are not defective. They're often mismatched. A deep mind in a shallow environment, a sensitive system in a loud culture, a reflective nature in a reactive world. And when the world doesn't mirror your rhythm, misalignment feels like failure, even when it isn't. You were never meant to disappear into every space. You were meant to find the few spaces that could hold your depth. Belonging isn't about fitting in everywhere. It's about being understood somewhere. Sometimes by one person, sometimes by one conversation, sometimes by one quiet moment where you finally feel at ease. If you've spent your life feeling like you don't fit in anywhere, don't rush to change yourself. First, understand yourself, because people like you, the observers, the deep thinkers, the emotionally aware, don't blend easily. But when you find alignment, you don't just belong, you thrive. And if this video made you feel understood in a way you rarely do, stay here. This space is for minds that move differently.